Hi, ladies. So we are currently waiting for one more participant, but we'll go ahead and get started and he can join when he's available. My name is Katie Ward and this is Emily Prendergast and we're two senior editors of Catholic University's independent student newspaper, The Tower. Thank you both so much for joining us this evening. I hope that your online classes are going okay despite the disrupted semester. If you both can take just about 15 seconds to introduce yourselves and the involvement that you have at CUA, we'll get started after that.
We can start with Hema and then we'll go to Melissa.
Of course, yeah. So my name is Hema Del Carmen. I'm a current sophomore at Catholic. I'm a politics and psychology double major with a Spanish minor and a theology minor as well. So a lot on my plate. I have been an SGA senator for the class of 2022 for 2 years now, so I'm serving in my second term currently. I'm also heavily involved in orientation. This is going to be my second year being involved as an orientation team captain, which is something I'm extremely passionate about. As well as this year, getting involved in an organization that's new on campus called Operation Smile, which works to fundraise and raise awareness for children with cleft palate deformities. And it's something I've had so much fun with this year. So, yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Go ahead, Melissa.
Thank you. So my name is Melissa Zentz, and I am a current junior, double majoring in philosophy and politics. And the past years, I have been involved in program board as their graphic designer, and I was also a dancer on CUA Dance Co. Currently, I am serving in my third term in the Senate. I am the School of Philosophy Senator, and I am also the Academic Affairs Committee Chair. I am also a member and the president of the mock trial team here at the Catholic University of America.
Great, thank you so much.
So Emily is going to be asking the questions. You guys will have a minute and a half to answer them. When you have 30 seconds left, I'm going to give you this reaction. And when you have 10 seconds left in your answer, I will give you this reaction. At that time, if you could please wrap up your answer so that we don't delay the rest of the debate, that would be excellent. And with that, Emily's going to go ahead and get started with the questions.
Awesome. So this question is for both of you guys, just an opener. Why do you think that you were the best candidate to lead the Senate? So we'll start with Hema and then go to Melissa.
Of course. So I think for me, I have this understanding of what the Senate does through and through. I've been in the Senate for 2 years. I know how Robert's Rules works. I know the bylaws backwards and forwards. But at the same time, my record kind of speaks for itself. I've passed major pieces of legislation that are still working on being advocated for, as well as things that have come to fruition. So for me, that means advocating for things that aren't necessarily the most conventional. I advocated for menstrual equity, which was to get free menstrual hygiene products in all restrooms on campus. As well as last night passing legislation to get pass-fail as an option for students on campus, which is something that over 1,600 students signed a petition for as of recent, considering the circumstances of COVID-19. But that being said, despite like this visionary legislation that I'm really passionate about, I know that knowledge about procedure is just a prerequisite for this role. While so much of what the student body vice president does has to do with procedure, Robert's Rules, ensuring that the Senate is running smoothly. I think part of what's so important is ensuring that you have ideas to back that up. You have ideas to move the Senate forward. And so for me, I think, having an SGA newsletter is super important for the Building Catholic U team to make sure that we're really reaching out to the students and they really know how they're being advocated for. For one thing that's extremely important to me is creating a mentorship program so that new senators in the Senate can pair up with seasoned senators, and that way your senators can better work for you at a faster pace without having to acclimate on their own, and having a mentor that way can help them better become seasoned to the Senate faster and push out legislation faster. For me especially, one thing that I think gets forgotten about a lot with the student body vice president is the fact that they can set a policy agenda, and that's something that I'm very passionate about as well. So.
Great, thank you so much. Go ahead, Melissa.
Thank you. I believe that I would make an ideal candidate for the vice president position because, like Senator Del Carmen has said, the Senate is an in-depth, complicated process. Thus, it is important to have someone who is experienced in the Senate procedures. As being a third-term senator, I believe that I have the necessary experience and have been an active participant in the Senate. Some of my resolutions that I have passed include a resolution to implement a new university portal system. And that's just one of the many resolutions that I have done. But not only have I had the experience within the Senate, I am passionate and dedicated to empowering the students to make a difference in our university. My 3 years experience in the Senate and other leadership roles, such as the president of the mock trial team, make me an ideal candidate for the president of the Senate and an advocate for you. I will ensure that meaningful and well-researched resolutions come to the Senate floor. But more importantly, I will make sure that the resolutions do not just stop there. I will be an active liaison between the students and faculty until each resolution passed is enacted, and I am dedicated to making sure that the passed resolutions become a reality. That is why I think I would be an ideal candidate, and I have lots of new ideas and change to bring to the Senate.
Great, thank you so much. Hema, what is your demographic priority for filling vacancies within the Senate?
For filling vacancies within the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
I think that filling vacancies within the Senate is extremely important. That's a big issue that we've had in the Senate this year, is having a lot of senators going abroad, or having a lot of senators the vacancies not being filled quickly. I think that's something that's extremely important, and our team is really dedicated to ensuring that that process happens effectively and quickly. I think that it is a bit different, and I think that that's a role that the executive shouldn't have to use as much as they have been using, solely because, I think, in my personal opinion, and something that has been talked a lot about in the Senate, is, senators really shouldn't be running for Senate if they plan to study abroad, because it leaves somebody who's unelected in office that the executive has to pick. So in my personal preference, I would prefer to have to fill vacancies as little as possible, just so that we're really ensuring that the senators that are in the body are senators that the students have voted in. That being said, when vacancies do happen as a result of things that are uncontrollable, or as a result of somebody just not merely running for a school or class seat, I think it's important to ensure that we're really picking students on campus who represent parts of campus that are not currently represented in the Senate body. There are so many areas of campus that could still be represented in the Senate, that I think there are so many students who, if they really knew what the Senate did, if it was better advertised, if they knew that they could make a different kind of impact, that those kinds of students would be more interested in being an SGA. I think they just need the right person to kind of talk to them about it, and hopefully be a part of the body, and really make a difference and bring a different perspective, because it's extremely important, the most varied perspective as possible. So yeah.
Great, thank you so much. And Melissa, where do you see Catholic University in 10 years, and how do you see the role of SGA growing and developing?
Thank you for that question. So the Catholic University in 10 years, I hope, is a flourishing environment that empowers all the students. And that's what really our campaign is dedicated to starting. We want to empower the students to make sure that they know this is their university and they have a say. That is our role and job, to listen to their opinions, their needs, their desires, to make sure that they are heard, and not only that they are heard, that they are acted upon. So the Catholic University I envision in the future is one that truly focuses on the students, and that the students are the root and the source of Catholic University's success. The Senate in particular, and SGA as a whole, I hope that it continues to grow. I want everyone on campus to be aware of the Student Government Association. Too often we hear people saying that, oh, we have a Senate, or oh, I didn't know we had a student government. And I don't want that to be the reality. I want everyone to be fully engaged and be aware of what's going on. That being said, our campaign has multiple ideas, such as sending out monthly emails to make sure that everyone is fully aware what's going on in student government, and also updating the student government website to include a Senate resolution tracker, which will state the active and latest actions that have happened with these resolutions. And that's what I see with this future of SGA, and also the Catholic community as a whole.
Thank you so much. Hema, how will you work with other members of SGA to best provide for the needs of students?
That's a great question. So I think that it's extremely important that when the executive is talked about, it's not talked about it as this hierarchical structure, because what it is a team of oversight, but at the same time, it's supposed to be a team that's working with senators. It's working with Treasury Board directors to make sure that they're doing their job best to serve the students. Because at the end of the day, it's not about having the title of senator, having the title of Treasury Board director. For me, running is not about having the title of student body vice president. It's about being able to ensure that students truly are represented by the people that they have elected, that they have trusted to do their jobs. So I think for me, working with the senators is going to be extremely important. Like I said before, as student body vice president, you have the ability to set a policy agenda. That's extremely important to me, and that's something that I want as many student perspectives involved in that process as possible, to help kind of work with senators and say, this is legislation that I've heard from a lot of people. A lot of people have reached out to the executive about this particular issue, and we want to push for this. We really want to get this done because this is what the students are asking for. So I think particularly for me, one thing on my policy agenda is definitely going to be advocating for minority students. It is a different experience to be a minority student on Catholic University's campus, and I think that we could bring forth more minority student leaders by implementing minority student scholarships, and kind of making that a big priority for the university. And so that's one of the things on my policy agenda for the coming year.
Great, thank you so much. This one's for Melissa. So as we talked about before, there is a small percentage of students who are actively involved in or even aware of SGA. So can you talk a little bit more in detail about how you plan on engaging more of the student population this upcoming year?
Of course. So we're really the SOAR campaign is really dedicated to open communication and engaging the students as much as possible. So a few of our ideas, like I've mentioned, was monthly emails on updates from the SGA resolutions and initiatives in the executive board in general. We want to have general meetings with clubs and sports teams captains. And these monthly meetings will also include residence life, and RAs, people from peers, campus ministry, and just leaders from all over, where we can all join together to discuss what's going on in the community. And that also allows us to provide them with more information on what student government's doing for them. Additionally, we hope to let the students know what's going on in the Senate by implementing a Senate resolution tracker. This will be something that's very similar to what Congress actually currently uses now, and it will provide a step-by-step process of what's going on with the latest actions for that resolution. It will say whether it's introduced, passed, and when it's gone to administration, and then when it's been enacted. These are really important. So not only the senators, but the entire student body is aware of the status of what's going on. Additionally, we will be adding 2 executive initiatives. The 2 new ones will be the arts and athletics. These are areas which we think could use a little more representation. So that's how we are ensuring that the whole campus is involved in the student government process.
Great, thank you so much. And Hema, what do you plan on doing differently than this year's administration?
Of course, that's a great question. So I think that this year's administration has done a great job. Honestly, student government is a fairly new organization. It's barely 5 years old. So one thing that I'm really, really passionate about is, and the reason our campaign is called Building Catholic U, is because we want to build upon the structure that the previous administration has put into place, but also take that and expand it. We want to do things in a visionary way, come up with new ideas or use new ideas, be able to advocate for new ideas. For me personally, like I said before, I'm really passionate about advocating for those students who feel like student government isn't really representing them. I'm passionate about reaching out to those niche areas of the community, or those students who feel like, whatever their big idea is, or whatever they feel like they want to see change on campus is impossible. I want to reach out to those students and let them know that their ideas for campus are possible. That there are senators and there are members of the executive, there are Treasury Board directors who want to work hard, do research with them, to really work with them to make sure that what they see as a vision on campus and how to better Catholic's campus is possible. I think that I'm in a unique place in which I can use my perspective as a minority woman, and I can really advocate for people who don't feel like they're being advocated for. as well as advocating for people who feel like they aren't being advocated for, continuing to advocate for the people that we are working for currently, but just making sure that we can really expand and include as many students on Catholic's campus as possible, because that's what student government's supposed to do. It is supposed to be representing the students, and I think we can always be doing a better job of that. So I hope to continue that and do it better.
Great, thank you. And this is for Melissa. What is the biggest change that you like to see in SGA and its relationship with the student body next year?
Could you repeat the last part? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. So what is the biggest change that you would like to see in SGA and its relationship with the student body next year?
Of course. Thank you for that question. So the biggest thing that and as a whole ticket and campaign, we would really just like to see everyone truly feel empowered. The SOAR campaign is about empowering all the students, and we want to ensure that we are the foundation for their success. So this will be encouraged by listening to our students' needs, concerns, having leadership workshops, having meaningful Senate resolutions, and just really being there for the students to know that we are here for them. The biggest change specifically in the Senate, I think, is ensuring that these resolutions that are being passed are being fulfilled. Often we pass a resolution in the Senate and that's the last time we ever hear of it. And I want to make sure that that isn't what's happening. I want to make sure that these resolutions, these concerns and needs of the students aren't just being passed in the Senate, that they are being acted upon by the administration. And I will continue to push and advocate for every single issue that is being presented within student government as a whole. The executive initiatives will be similar to how they are now. They ensure a gap analysis. So they look at the areas of campus that don't necessarily need to be done through Senate resolutions. And we want to make sure that we continue that process so that everyone is included in student government and can have their needs heard.
Great, thank you so much. And this question is for both of you to close us out. What kinds of projects and ideas would you like to see implemented if you are elected to this position?
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Sure.
Sorry.
It's okay. What kinds of projects and ideas would you like to see implemented if you are elected to this position?
Oh, I could go first, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I think for me, one thing that is really big for the Building Catholic U team especially too is making sure that executive initiatives, you know, the things that are supposed to be reaching out to really niche areas of campus or specific areas of campus are actually doing their job, and they're coming back, and the people who are involved in the executive initiatives are coming back and really meeting with senators and creating legislation out of the executive initiatives. The Building Catholic U team wants to add 2 executive initiatives as well, one of them being a green or environmental sustainability initiative, as well as an initiative for the athletes. And so hopefully those groups, as well as, you know, the diversity inclusion executive initiative. I would love to see the students who are involved in the diversity inclusion executive initiative really bring forth legislation out of that, and see that reflected on the Senate floor and truly be advocated for and brought to fruition. So I would love to see the executive initiatives really bring together every area of campus. That way so many students are involved in student government, as many students as possible, and that we're really ensuring in that way as well better representation for the students, and that those executive initiatives truly reflect in the legislation that we're bringing forth. So.
Great, thank you. And go ahead, Melissa.
Of course. So similar to what Senator Del Carmen has mentioned, the SOAR campaign is also advocating for and stands for including these executive initiatives and making sure that they are fruitful. The SOAR campaign has decided to have each executive initiative assigned to a Senate committee to make sure that these executive initiatives are being fulfilled to their fullest potential. For example, the executive initiative, University Wellness, would be associated with Campus Life Committee to make sure that these 2 groups within the student government organization are working together and not just completely separated and don't know what's going on in each, because these executive initiatives are to reach the minority groups and every little group on campus. It's important that they have a dialogue with the Senate committees. Additionally, to make sure that we have well-researched Senate resolutions, I would like and would implement having executive research assistants be assigned to each committee. So each committee in the Senate would have a exec research assistant who's able to help them draft these meaningful Senate resolutions. Additionally, as Vice President and President of the Senate, I will be having bi-weekly committee chairs meetings. So this ensures that I get in-depth updates on the committees and their progress to make sure we're all on the same page, and allows me to be the support that I can be for these committee chairs and help them in any way they may need.
Great.
And yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And that concludes this portion of the debate. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hope you guys are staying safe. Yeah.
Thanks for having us. You guys are fantastic. I can't wait to see everything.
Thank you for doing this. It means a lot, and still doing it despite.
Yeah, it means a lot that like the tower cares so much to make sure that the students are hearing, their options for April 7th. So we appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Safe.